Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be making this beautiful Pinafore shorts. I don't know the exact thing they call it, but I think Pinafore shorts. Okay, so let's get right into it. So here we're going to be drafting our pattern. Okay, so here I'm measuring from my waist to hip line, waist to crotch depth. Okay, so to get your crotch depth, you're going to divide your waist hip circumference divided by 4, and if you're on a plus size you might want to add about 1.5 inch to the crotch depth. Okay, and then I'm also marking the full length of the short. Okay, and if you notice I subtracted 1 inch from the waistline because it's going to be having a band, so I'm just going to connect all the marks with a straight line. Okay, so this is our hip line, the crotch line, and then the full length. Okay, so on the crotch line I'm going to be measuring my hip circumference divided by 4, and I'll be adding 1.5, and whatever I have them mark the same thing on the waistline as well, and then I'm going to connect with a straight line. Okay, so to get our crotch extension, we're going to divide these 2 points by 4. So I'm folding my tape 1 and I'm going to fold it again. Okay, so I have about 3.2 and I'm going to mark it here. Coming over to the waistline, I'm going to come inwards by 1 inch, and on this part we're going to divide these 2 points by 2. On those crotch parts we're going to come up by 1 inch, and then we'll connect all the dots together. Okay, so from these 2 points I'm going to be dividing it into 2, and I will mark the midpoint. Okay, and whatever I have here I'm going to measure the same thing at this part as well, and then I'll connect it. Okay, so this line is going to be our grain line. So I have about 3 to 4 PANT tutorial on this channel. Okay, you might need to watch them for more clarity. Okay, because I'll be rushing this one kinda. Okay, so on this part, okay, maybe like 2 inches below your crotch line, I'm going to be measuring my round thigh. Okay, so that's the biggest part of your last. Okay, whatever you have, you divide it into 2 and then divide it again to measure the same thing on both sides of the grain line. And on this part I'm just measuring my round, imputing my rounding measurement, or wherever the short is going to stop. Okay, so next I'm just going to add about half inch to this point I have here. Okay, and then I'm just going to connect all of them. So guys, please, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, kindly hit the subscribe button. Okay, turn on your notification bell to get notified each time I post. And to my returning subscribers, I love you guys so much. Okay, so on this part I went in by ½ inch, that's on the crotch line, and then I'm going to connect it to the hip line just like you see me doing here. Okay, so coming over to our waistline, okay, I'm going to take the waist measurement, okay, from this point, that's your waist circumference divided by 4, and I added 1.5 for seam allowance, and then I'm going to connect it. Okay, on this part I'll come down by 1 inch and then I will connect. Okay, this helps your waist to relax properly. Next is to cut this out. Okay, so to cut the back pattern, I'm just going to place the front on our pattern paper just like so, and I will be extending the lines, the crotch line, hip line, and the waistline, and the full length as well. Okay, so on our crotch line I'm going to be extending it by 2.5, and on that 2.5 mark I will come down by ½ inch. Okay, on this cuffed part I will come out by 1 inch. Okay, then on the waistline I will go inwards from the center front. I will go inwards by 1, and on this same point I will come up by 2 inches. Okay, remember we took out 1 inch from the center front, and then I'll add an extra 1 inch to it. Okay, so now I'm going to connect all these dots with a curve. Okay, so now we're going to be taking our waist measurement. Okay, the waist circumference divided by 4, marked it there, and then I'm adding 1.5 for seam allowance. Okay, so on this part from the hip line I'm adding 1 inch. Okay, and then I'm just going to connect everything. Okay, so on this part as well I'll be adding 1 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to connect it to the crotch line with a slight curve. Okay, just like so. And this is basically it for the back pattern. Okay, so I'm not adding any dots to my back piece. Okay, you can decide to add that to yours. It's totally optional. Okay, so for this front piece, okay, we're going to be adding a pocket to it. So here I'm just marking out where I'll be attaching my pockets. I have a very detailed tutorial on how to do this on the channel. I'll be linking it in the description box. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to cut everything on our fabric. Okay, and I also added about 2 inches for folding for the seam allowance on the down part. Okay, so this is for the front and this is the back piece. Okay, so I've also gone ahead to cut out this piece on fold. So the length measures 10.5 and the wideness is the bust span. Okay, and I added seam allowance to it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to go and join this is the back piece on the crotch line with 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'm also going to do the same for the front as well. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to do that, and I've also gone ahead to attach the pocket to the front piece. So as you can see, everything is looking all nice and clean. Okay, so I've also gone ahead to join the back as well. So for this piece here, I added an interfacing to it to give it some firmness. So what I'm going to do now is to flip it this way. Okay, and I'm going to go and stitch with 1/2 inch on both sides. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to do that, and now I'm going to turn it out. Okay, and then I'm going to go and give it a very nice press. Okay, so make sure to push out all these pointy edges. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to do that, and next thing I'm going to do is to notch this to get the midpoint. Okay, so I have this piece. This is going to be the band. Okay, I have 2 pieces for the front and it measures 3 inches. Okay, so I also have this one for the back as well. Okay, so the length should be enough for your waist. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold these 2 pieces together and I will notch the midpoint. Okay, and then I'm going to place this one in the middle. Okay, making sure that the midpoints are together, and I'm just going to hold it down with a pin, and then I'm going to go and stitch it with 1/2 inch on this part. So here I've gone ahead to do that, and I'm just going to trim off the excesses I have here, and when you flip it over, this is what it should look like. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to bring, this is our front piece. Okay, so I'll be attaching this, okay, to the waistline, just like so, making sure that the center aligns with the center of your trouser piece. Okay, so I'm just going to hold them down with a pin first, and then I'm going to go and stitch it with 1/2 inch around the waistline. Okay, so this is it when I'm done, and I've gone ahead to also iron it flat. Okay, Okay, so I'm going to be setting this aside. Okay, so coming over for the back part. All right, I have this belt, and it measures 2 inches wide. Okay, and the length should be at least times 2 of your half length. So if your half length is 15, the length of this belt should be 30 inches. Okay, so on this band, I'm going to be measuring my bust span, okay, from the midpoint. So if your bust span is 8, I'm going to measure 4 inches on both sides from the midpoint. Okay, so that's what I've marked here. So I'm going to be placing this belt in between, okay, just like so, and the center of the belt should be at that 4 inches mark. Okay, the center of your belt should be at the 4 inches mark. So I'm also going to do this for the second one, and I'll hold it down with a pin, and then I'm going to go and stitch this with 1/2 inch on this part. Okay, so this is it when I'm done. I'm just trimming off the excesses I have here, and when I turn it to the other side, this is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to go and iron this now. Okay, so here I'm done ironing it. I'm going to bring this is the back part of the trouser, so I'm going to be attaching this to the waist. Okay, making sure that they are matching on the center. Okay, so I'm just going to hold it with a pin, and then I'm going to go and stitch this down along the waist with 1/2 inch. Okay, so this is it when I'm done. And next thing I'm going to do now is to attach an elastic through the waistband. Okay, this is totally optional. You can decide not to attach an elastic to yours, but I usually like to attach this elastic because it gives the waist a kind of firmness. Okay, so here I'm just passing the elastic through it. Okay, and this is it when I'm done. Okay, remember to hold the ends with pins so that the elastic doesn't pull inside. So the next thing I will do now is to go and run a straight stitch in between the bands to keep the elastic in place. Okay, so when you're stitching it, you should be dragging it just like you see me doing here. While you're stitching, you should be pulling it just like so. Okay, and I'm going to do that until I get to the end. Okay, so your stitch should be in the middle of the band. Okay, right in the middle of the band. Okay, so I'm going to do this until I get to the end. Okay, and this is what it looks like when we are done. Okay, this is totally optional. You can decide to skip this part, it's fine. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the front on the back just like so. Okay, making sure that the middle point aligns, and I'm going to mark my waist measurement. Okay, 1/4 of my waist measurement on both sides. Okay, and then I'm going to hold this down with pin. Okay, remember the back has an elastic, so you have to stretch it just like you see me doing. Okay, and then I'm going to hold it down with a pin on both sides. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do afterward is to go and close up the side. Okay, I'm going to do that with 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, so this is it when I'm done, and I'm going to go and also hold this part. Okay, make sure that these two lines align with each other. I'm going to hold it with a pin first, and then I'm going to go and stitch this part down as well. Okay, so you want to take your thigh measurement while closing this part. Okay, so here I'm going to be attaching a zipper to the side. Okay, and then I'm going to go and finish up the down part. Okay, so to finish up the belt, okay, so I'm placing my half length measurements here. Okay, your half length or your waistline. So I'm just going to fold the belt just like you see me doing. Just watch what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to trim off the excesses I have there. Okay, you don't want the belt to be too long. Okay, I'm just going to cut it out like so, and I'm going to go and fold this inwards and stitch it down. You can either stitch it or you will use a hemming gum. Okay, for me I use the hemming gum to finish it up. Okay, so this is the final look, looking all nice and beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're yet to subscribe, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. To my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much. See you guys in my next video. Bye.